how would AI actually pick the stock?
Artificial intelligence.
AI, artificial intelligence, AI.
The biggest point is it removes the entire human behavioral bias out of it. So I would say machine does not love a stock or does not hate a stock, whereas a human can. What it cares as a machine is it should generate returns for me. Back in 2016, the global research, equity research was happening manually. That's how I thought of introducing technology to the entire investment landscape.
Way back in 2016, nobody was talked about AI. What was the reaction of your colleagues?
It was extremely difficult for somebody to believe that, okay, machine can do something which is a very high IQ job out in the market. Running a startup itself is risky. At that point of time, there was no LLMs, no GPTs, so there were no shortcuts allowed. So we hit the market with basic product in 2020, just before COVID.
And what was the reaction of people?
Happily surprised, I would say, to see a product at that point of time which was completely automated. And we were clueless about how do we grow it. This product removed the entire human element from the entire picture and it's just the machine. Why we have done it is because it would remove all the human biases from the relationship.
When a stock is picked by AI, can we see what are the steps, how it actually filtered the stock?
We ask you a series of questions. The way you answer and the information that we are able to collect out of your answers actually goes back into the machine and an algorithm gets created which creates your personalized risk profile.
Will ever AI understand the middle class dreams? Hello viewers, today we have a very special guest, Mr. Sumit Chanda, CEO and founder of Jarvis Invest. So Sumit is the one who believed in AI in wealth management. Let's hear his story today. Hi Sumit.
Hi.
Thank you for your time for podcast. How did you believe back in 2016 that AI is going to take over, and what is your thought process behind bringing AI into wealth management?
You know, back in 2016, before that I was professionally engaged in other companies. There was one problem that I identified, that was primarily the global research, equity research was happening manually. Whereas in the last 20 years, the way we look at data and the availability of data has changed drastically. So from that point of view, we felt that maybe the current methodology of doing research is not enough, and more can be achieved the moment we use technology to do that. That's how I thought of introducing technology to the entire investment landscape. Why AI? Because there are massive databases which are available today, which can give you enormous information across various companies, industries, macro and all. And for any machine or any language to code all of these things, it was only machine learning and deep learning which had the early capabilities to compute these things. That's why we started dabbling with machine learning at the very beginning, eventually went on to deep learning and started developing AI products.
Great. So when you have started this, what was the reaction of your colleagues or your superiors, your friends, when someone started this? Because way back in 2016, nobody was talked about AI. Mostly this AI came into after 2022-23, it came a boom. So at that time when you were discussing your thoughts with your friends and colleagues, what was their reaction?
So I think it was extremely difficult for somebody to believe that, okay, machine can do something which is a very high IQ job out in the market. But having said that, obviously with time, the belief simply become more stronger. We started seeing results. Obviously, it took us a lot of time to build the initial models because at that point of time, there was no LLMs, no GPTs, so there were no shortcuts allowed. So we had to build all the models on ourselves. So we built those, and I think around 2018 onwards, we started seeing some results. The machine was already able to pull out research, create portfolios, run them autonomously, and also we saw some early success. And I believe that's the time when people started seeing it and believing that, okay, this can happen.
Was there a moment you thought this was a very risky step? Because at that time, India wasn't ready for AI and this boom.
So I think running a startup itself is risky to start with. So of course, while that thought was always there, but we had to do something which is innovative, disruptive and first of its kind. So that was more driven by the passion, I would say. So we kept on building it, and now we are there wherever we are.
So what kept you awake at nights while in the early stage of the startup?
I think the early stage, what kept me awake at night was whether the model will work on the accuracy part of it, because there was no set example out in the market, even in the global landscape, where we could have replicated or looked at as a reference point. So this was the first time that somebody was building something like this. So we ourselves were our own benchmarks. So to create that accuracy, to create the better performance, to beat the human analyst in terms of doing research and getting those alpha numbers, was something that initial days kept me awake at night.
So since you started in 2016, when was the year you hit the market with the product, basic product?
So we hit the market with basic product in 2020, just before COVID.
And what was the reaction of people?
People were, of course, surprised, happily surprised, I would say, to see a product at that point of time which was completely automated, and it was I would say immediate, because the moment somebody was coming to our product, our mobile app or web version, the portfolios were getting created in anywhere around 30 to 40 seconds. Now that was the fastest speed of creation of portfolio anybody would have ever seen. And that too, it was personalized to every customer. So if there were 10 customers, there were 10 different personalized portfolios created by the machine for them. And then the entire journey, the entire investment life cycle was also completely automated. So this was first of its kind product in India at that point of time. So people, I believe, loved it.
So did you face any challenges while convincing investors, either retail or HNIs, to use this AI product at that time?
Of course, I believe it's still a challenge, because you see, India is a very relationship driven market.
Correct.
So I will be your customer only if I know you, if I have seen your face, I can sit with you, have a cup of tea or coffee. So it's more of a relationship driven market. Now we have this product kind of removed the entire the human element from the entire picture, and it's just the machine. Why we have done it is because it would remove all the human biases from the relationship. As a customer, what matters, what should matter is how can I get better returns, how can I reduce my volatility and have a nice superior product. If I am able to provide this as a package through a machine, then I believe I will be able to replace that requirement of that human touch, which we have been successfully doing over the last 6 years. And I think we have seen great adaptability on this now.
So getting an idea is one thing, but once after hitting the market, is there any movement like, yes, what the decision I made back in 2016 was correct, now I'm in the right phase? Is there any such movement?
Absolutely, yes. So as I mentioned that we launched this product just before COVID, and then immediately we got hit by COVID, and we were clueless about how do we grow it. Now during COVID, sitting at home, we launched the distribution model for us. That worked wonders for us. So eventually we had about 2200 plus distributors pan India who were selling our product out in the market, and people were liking it. So that was the early success that we tasted in 2020 and 21. Also, the customers gave us the requirement beyond the portfolio advisory that we were providing for other products. We started creating them 2022 onwards, and early 23 we launched other set of products that you are able to see on our website and app today. So I believe it's the customer who has actually loved the product and gave us the idea of building more, and we have never stopped since then.
So let's have some technical questions here. How would AI actually, pick the stock? How do AI identifies the better stock to invest? Can you elaborate on this?
That's a very long answer, I would say, but to cut it short, I would say, see, if I have to buy a stock manually, what are the parameters I would look before investing into that? One, first of all, I would look at it, how much money do I have to invest into? And should I put all the money in one stock, or should I diversify it into 10 or 20, 15 stocks or something like that? Now, beyond that, I would go into looking at the health of the stock. So I would look at the fundamentals of how good the stocks are. Beyond that, I would look at probably the technicals to see whether this is the right time for me to enter into the stock. If I am a learned, more experienced investor, I might also look at how the macro factors are working for the country, how the policies, internal government policies are supporting the stocks which I feel are should be shortlisted for my investments. And that's how I decide that okay, these are the stocks I would go ahead and buy it. Now the machine does all of it. The only difference is it would do for the entire industry, the entire universe of listed stocks that's there in the country. So the machine is able to learn much more. It is able to look at more information that ever a human can look into. It can go literally 10 years into history and see how the price actions have taken have been doing along with the fundamentals of the stocks or the market sentiments or the global macro impacting everything. So the machine has the capability of computing all of these parameters simultaneously, and that's how the accuracies are far higher than what even a panel of analysts can ever achieve.
When AI look at a stock, what does it actually look that a human cannot see?
As I mentioned, the depth of research and the longevity of the research that it does. Beyond that, the biggest point is it removes the entire human behavioral bias out of it, and which is more important on the sell side rather than buy. So from a retail investor's point of view, people can identify pretty well stocks which are good and I should buy. But what is more challenging is when should I exit? That's where most of the behavioral biases plays around. So I would say machine does not love a stock or does not hate a stock, whereas a human can, right? So machine will exactly give me the exit point at the right time, irrespective whether the stock is a large cap or a small cap or a mega cap. So it doesn't care. What it cares as a machine is it should generate returns for me. So that's a differentiating factor that it has over a human analyst.
When AI does stock entry and exit, it needs a lot of data to train. Is there any challenge you faced, while training the machines, not getting enough data, sufficient data, anything on that?
So I would say for a country like India, data is pretty much available. It's accessible. So and we have been sourcing these information since the last 6-7 years for training our machines. But having said that, as we progressed in terms of the quality of product and the models that we created, we also started sourcing a lot of non-relevant data from the markets, which might have a very secondary or a tertiary relationship with the product. So I would say as we are moving ahead, we are consuming more and more data and we are playing around with that. And we are trying to build correlations out in the market, and with the ultimate goal of enhancing the overall accuracy of the product.
Okay. So when a stock is picked by AI, can we see what are the steps how it actually filtered the stock, or it is a completely a black box?
So of course, from an algorithm point of view, it's a black box. Mm-hmm. But we can now, or rather I would say now we can explain how everything happened. Of course, from a retail customer's point of view, we cannot explain what are the steps that has happened back in the machine, but we can simplify it in an understandable language and we can present it to the investor or the customer in a form of a report that how the stock was picked.
Would your algorithm decide to sell your favorite stock which you are holding for a long time and generated a lot of wealth for you, and due to some reason it gave a sell? Would you take it?
That's a nice question. I think yes, I will go ahead and take the call if the machine is suggested. Of course, I would want to look at it why the machine is suggesting a sell, and if it's valid, I will definitely go ahead and agree with the machine.
So can AI let me invest based on my personality? Will it personalize to me? If so, how does this happens?
Of course it can. So if you look at our product, so once you say install our mobile app or get into the web journey, so we ask you a series of questions. Mm-hmm. So the way you answer and the information that we are able to collect out of your answers actually goes back into the machine, and an algorithm gets created which creates your personalized risk profile. And based on that, then we combine the risk profile with your investment appetite, your horizon for investments, your timing of investments, and based on that, the system would create a custom portfolio for you. And the entire investment life cycle, which would include buying, selling, rebalancing your portfolio, which in our language we call risk management system, is also personalized to that person, to your risk profile and overall profile. So the entire journey for you is customized. It cannot be replicated to any other person having a very different thought towards investment.
Every middle class have a dream of creating certain corpus to meet their goals. So will ever AI understand the middle class dreams?
So I think that understanding or requirements of the dream need to be fed by the one who is dreaming. But once we get the information of what they are looking at from a data point of view, yes, AI can actually help implementing the right steps so that the person is able to reach to those goals.
Since you launched your first product, what are other products launched till date? And 10 years down the line, where you are looking this AI will go?
So I believe since we launched the portfolio advisory product back in 2020, we launched a couple of more products after that in 23 and more in 25. So I believe to cater to the retail consumers of India, we will have a series of at least 7 to 8 products launched before March 26. That will help the retail investors in India to make wealth, to make money, or to minimize their losses or reduce their volatilities. So we will have a series of products that will cater to them. But apart from that, we will also work with a lot of large institutions. So these could be mutual funds, it could be PMS houses, it could be AIFs, or it could be even treasury management, where we can probably implement some of our expertise to do research and help the analysts and the fund managers or the portfolio managers there to have a better view of the market and have a much more measured portfolio out to invest for them.
You said like you are catering to institutions as well. Can you just throw a light exactly what Jarvis is doing for institutions?
Of course. So see, imagine Jarvis is as like a research layer. And based on a requirement of an institution, if it's a mutual fund versus a PMS, so from a fund manager's point of view, the requirements are very different. Even the regulatory guidelines for a mutual fund versus a PMS is very different. So one, we look at these guidelines. Two, we interact with the internal investment committees and try and understand their broader guardrails for the fund. So this gives us a lot of do's and don'ts within what we can do within the funds. And the last part is we look at what is the objective. Of course, alpha is the objective, but what are the respective benchmarks you would compare yourself with? What is the kind of risk you're open to take, and what's the kind of potential alpha returns that you're trying to generate? So once we collect all of this information, we come back, we feed this information to our machine, and we train them, which takes us a couple of months. But what comes out at the end is a ready product, say for a mutual fund or a PMS, which can be plugged and played by the fund managers, and the strategy is ready, you can start accepting funds. So the entire strategy management and technology management is being completely taken care by Jarvis. Whereas from an AMC point of view, they focus on improving the operational efficiencies of the product and sales and marketing.
What was the one eureka moment you got that Jarvis product will take over from now?
So I believe this was during COVID and I would say early March, when the entire industry was bleeding, the markets were upwards of minus 30% negative. Jarvis had liquidated its all portfolio by 6th of March. And we were sitting on cash at that point of time. So we were not incurring any losses. Then if you recollect, 23rd of March of that year was the bottommost point of that year. In fact, even till now. On 23rd of March, Jarvis had triggered a rebalance to all its existing customers at that point of time. And on that day, Jarvis has taken positions on pharma and consumer goods,
Right.
which eventually was the pick by the analyst by end of April. And eventually Jarvis moved on to pick up IT by mid of June. And if you look at some of these sectors, and I'm sure you're aware that these are some of the sectors which got multi-bagger returns at that point of time. So I believe picking up and identifying and picking up these stocks was the eureka moment for me to realize that the product works.
Yeah, that even a normal analyst cannot pick at that time.
Absolutely. They will take their own sweet time to analyze the market, come out from the market fall shock, and then identify which sector to look into.
Thank you, Sumit. We'll end up with some personal questions.
Sure.
So, if not fintech, what would be your career?
I wanted to be an architect. I would have been an architect.
So, cricket or football?
Cricket.
Okay. Chai or coffee?
Coffee.
Early morning research or late night research?
Machine-based early morning reports.
So, in this journey, when you look back, what was the one proud moment or great decision you took?
I would say taking a big step of starting this company, starting the entrepreneurship journey with a product like this, which potentially can change the way investments globally will be done. I would say that would be one proud moment for me even till now. And we are seeing the changes across the world today.
Yeah, it's really inspiring. Thank you, Sumit. It was great discussion with you.
Thank you so much.